So, we are back with our final training session, all about operations and account management, giving you all the things that you need as you're growing and scaling your agency or business. And today, we are going to talk about managing account managers because I know a lot of agency owners or business owners will say, okay, I know I need an account manager. I know what the account manager needs to do now. I have the processes, but how in the world am I going to manage this person to do a really good job on an ongoing basis? Because for a lot of agency owners, all the things that come up on a daily basis maybe are more reactionary and we need them to be more proactive. So, how are you going to train this person? So, in this training session, we are going to fill you in on how we do that in both of our businesses.
Yeah, because sometimes I think when you hire a new person, you're like, "Oh, now I have to manage that person." Like, whatever time I get back from whatever it is they're taking over for me, I also now need to worry about managing them. So, I'm excited about this because I think, folks are, scared to hire for a lot of reasons, and rightfully so. I mean, hiring is a little bit scary, especially if you don't have, some of the resources that we've been talking about over the past couple of sessions here. But I think really the big question that probably everyone has listening is like, how do I know it's working? Right. Like I bring somebody in and at first, I'm supposed to manage them and whatever, but maybe I'm supposed to objectively say like, yeah, this is working. So like, how can we even do that?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I would look for is your time. So, obviously, we love systems. So, a part of that is tracking your time. Currently, I can see my toggle on in the background. So, what I would encourage you to do is before hiring an account manager, start to really track your time. So, things like how much time are you spending emailing clients, onboarding clients, in client meetings? That's going to take a lot of your time. Overseeing project management. How much time are you spending in that? If you can say within 3 months, your time has gone from 40 hours to 15 hours, that is going to show you that that is working. This person is taking things off of your plate. Secondly, is looking at your client retention. How long are clients sticking around? If the retention has improved, well, then that means that it's working. Finally, how happy are your clients? So you need to be surveying them. We call these happiness surveys, but how are your clients feeling about working with you? Do they feel like they are supported by this account manager? Once you realize that your clients can go to your account manager, not you, then you know that this role is working for you, not against you in your business.
Yeah, I love that you brought up client retention because that's huge. I mean, if we talked about this being a profit center and not, a time and money suck in the business, but like, I mean, if you're in a position where this person can come in and help you retain clients, I mean, they're just worth their weight in gold at this point, right? It's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. And so, but what about so day to day, right? So we know it's working. We know that things are, moving and shaking and that this person is providing us with excellent results. What is the management responsibility? Like, how should we be feeling like we need to interact with an account manager?
So, firstly, it comes down to who you're hiring. So, before you're hiring an account manager, you want to be looking for certain skill sets and personality types of people who are like able to think for themselves, who are proactive, who are able to kind of jump in and do things. But I think it's also really important to give your account manager a space where they can chat with you about clients, maybe what's working, what's not working. So, maybe a weekly meeting, half an hour with your account manager, running through the current clients, where they're at and where there might be challenges that have come up and that you can help support them. Maybe it's with optimizing systems and bringing somebody in like an Allison and her team to optimize things. Or maybe it's, oh, maybe we're bringing in the wrong types of clients because that feedback loop needs to happen as well. So I think just giving your account manager the space to fill you in on how things are going and then looking at the data. So using, tracking scorecards, happiness surveys, how are clients feeling, how are their projects, and then also kinda giving them that space.
Yeah, I really love that. Personally, I meet with my account manager twice a week for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on like what the workload looks like for that week. And we meet on Mondays and then Wednesday afternoons. And the reason that we do that is because I like to communicate with my clients to say, hey, here's everything we're doing this week. Here's like what's on the docket. And then by Wednesday afternoon, we should have lots of things shipped. But then we also have 2 more weekdays to like make sure that we have all the things. If we run into any roadblocks or something doesn't quite work out the way that we planned, we can kind of formulate a plan together and get back with the team. So truthfully, that's like my personal cadence. And I totally agree with you. My account manager, her like window into what the team is experiencing and what the clients are experiencing. I'm the strategic lead and I love being strategic lead, but they really do just provide me more insight to exactly like what's going on the ground and how people are feeling and how we can kind of be more systems oriented behind the scenes. Truthfully, it's been super invaluable to me personally to be able to just even have that meeting, not even to address problems or anything, but just to like talk about opportunities to improve.
Mhm. And for those who are maybe have that white knuckle grip on your agency, on your clients, that will help you relinquish some of that control by knowing that 2 to 3 times a week, I'm getting an update with my account managers. I'm not gonna lose control. So kinda having those on your schedule will help you over time, build trust with your team, let go of a bit of control, and know that they've got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we're talking about managing, I know you manage the back of house operations, numbers, all that stuff. Is there a certain ROI you want to see with account managers for are there any metrics that we should be tracking in terms
Totally.
of that?
Yeah, if you're talking about utilization here, I mean, this is a big one. If you're measuring utilization in your agency for your fulfillment team, right? The fulfillment team should be, if you're paying someone to do on page SEO for your agency, they should be working on that. I would say 80% and above of the time, especially if you are bringing on an account manager who's able to kind of take over that administrative back and forth between the clients, if they're able to take on some of the communication, some of the project management, things. Obviously, those are some of the biggest things they can take on. You should see your utilization rate for the rest of your team creep up for sure. So, return on investment wise, right? That if you're doing billable hour for your agency, that is 100% going to give you a huge return with billable hour. The other thing we talked about quite a bit here is, obviously shortening the timeline for your projects, right? Or making sure that things aren't going over. And so that is direct ROI, right? If you're in a position where you need to pay your team for 2 extra weeks of work because you guys screwed something up earlier in the process, right? That is direct return on investment to kind of padding your bottom line and becoming more profitable as an agency. So I know Taylor talked earlier about tracking time and being in a position to know your numbers there. That is the biggest way that you'll be able to see if you're getting some on this endeavor for sure.
I love it. And it's sometimes challenging to see a direct ROI because a lot of these are soft skills. These are people, they're relationships. And the relationships don't always have a number attached to them, right? It's a feeling or an emotional decision or things like that. And, when chatting with agency owners, they always say to us, yes, retention is a big part of like results of like, are we actually getting results for clients? But a lot of it is relationships. So you also have to think all these things are really important, like numbers and things like that. But do you have the right person in the seat? And that's something that can take a little bit longer to realize. It's like, how are they sitting in with the team? How do the clients feel? How's retention overall? And that can take time. So I think also being patient in this management process of seeing things through, making sure that this person does fit long term, it's also really important. And you have to be honest with yourself. And that's why, folks like Allison and her team come in and they can help you work through these things and say, like, is this working? Is it not working? Why? Like asking you the right questions that sometimes you really just need somebody there to push you, and that is really important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from a client experience perspective, right? If we know this is working, like what kind of, signals are we going to be seeing other than retention?
Yeah. I would say from my perspective, team happiness is key, right? Like, how does the team feel, right? Like, and you know that, especially as an account manager, you're working with these people every day, you're on these team huddles, calls, and if the team feels like it's just like gelling together, I've been in these situations, you probably have too, where you're just like, I know that this person's got it because I've got their back and I've got the clients and they've got this and everything's just running smoothly. Having that feeling is really important. And you'll know what that feeling is like once you're turning projects, like things are getting done quickly, clients are happy. But then on the flip side, how are clients reacting to you? Do you feel like they're pushing back on things or do you feel like they're like leaning into you as the account manager, knowing where things are at? And that comes with time, of course, but are you proactively updating them on projects? Does the relationship gel? And those are things that take time, but you'll kind of have this gut feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, if clients are still coming back to you, right, and
Mm,
trying to still communicate with you, maybe there's something broken there. And maybe it's not just the client, maybe it's not the account manager necessarily, maybe it's the process and maybe it's, being proactive and reaching out to them. But I've always found, at least in my experience, that whenever you bring in a new account manager and they're doing really well, they're getting back to clients really quickly and things are moving really, really smoothly, the clients are actually more likely to just release, right? And say, okay, we'll go and hang out and communicate with this account manager versus, calling you on your cell at 2 in the afternoon,
Yes.
figuring those types of things out. So if you still are getting some resistance around that, perhaps it's time to sit down with the account manager and think through, okay, how could we be a little bit more proactive with the clients? Um, I think that there are always going to be opportunities to improve the process, especially like we talked about last time. I mean, especially as you go and your agency gets bigger and perhaps you have several account managers, there's always going to be an opportunity to make sure that the process is a little bit better. But I think from a management perspective, knowing your numbers is going to be just so, so huge. So if that's not shored up behind the scenes first, that might be one of the things that you start to kind of look at and say, like, okay, what is my billable hour? What is my team utilization? How much time do I spend, inside of client projects versus outside of client projects? You'll start to tally some of that stuff up and really see the opportunity here. The other big thing too that I see when I say like, is this going well? Is like, are my projects like, can I come into a project and see like, okay, this is where this is at within just a few minutes of being able to poke around? Because I don't know about like the people listening or like you, Taylor, but I used to come into projects and be like, where is that one thing that I said the other day? And blah, 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 blah. And my team would get so annoyed with me. They'd be like, you have no idea what's going on. Let's just hop in a quick meeting or whatever that was. And so now, whenever I come into our project boards with our clients, I'm like, okay, I get this. This is where this thing is at, and I can kind of see the comments and things. So how have you seen kind of that work out in terms of management? Like I feel like project management has to be like spick and span.
Oh, yeah. Like, even internally, we see it's taken a while to really, like, push everything into one place, right? Like, housing all projects in the project management software in one place, so then it's quickly, like, visible, right? Like, where is this at? Because as a leader in a business, if you don't wanna be a micromanager, the only way to get there is by having visibility and trusting your team and knowing that everything's taken care of and it's organized. But if you feel like everything is running in every direction, you're going to want to micromanage and hold on to all that control. Like you said, Allison, like you're going to jump in and be like, where is this? Versus being like, I know that everything is in Asana, for example. And just like having that gut feeling of like, I can sit back, relax, do what I need to do without micromanaging the team.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I wonder if someone has an account manager right now and they need to wonder like what to maybe change or if something's working, like what advice would you give to that person?
Yeah, I would say maybe finding somebody outside the business to come in and help you. Like people like you, Allison, or like there's tons of consultants out there who can come in and just take a look and say, okay, is this working or not working? We do a lot of coaching and training for account managers. So when it comes to like that side, we can definitely help. But I think it takes a fresh set of eyes to come in and say, like, how are your processes working? How happy are your clients? And maybe you don't have these things set up already, then you definitely need somebody to help with that. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I think too, we get so bogged down in the day to day of a lot of our businesses. And I mean, like, it's sometimes difficult to see the forest through the trees. And I think something like the training that you do with account managers is so critical to say, okay, I've seen so many businesses going through similar struggles, right? But really, we've only experienced like our business going through this particular struggle. I think a lot of agency owners could definitely moonlight as strategic, voices for other agencies, right? And kind of
Yeah.
delivery and strategy and all those things. But when it comes to running the business and managing a team, I agree. I think having someone kind of come in and say, objectively, how is this looking? Or objectively, what are our numbers? And it's going to just provide so many insights for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just having that second set of eyes is really crucial. But let's kind of talk about tools that people could kind of use today in their business that could help them with, let's say, systems or account manager training. Allison, I know you guys have kind of pulled all of your brains together and resources together, but kind of fill us in on that.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's tough. I mean, like I said before, you start a business and then you kind of end up running with something that, kind of just transforms overnight. And then all of a sudden you feel like you're just kind of in the weeds of things and trying to make the best decisions without a ton of time to really just get your head around kind of what the best practices are and where even to go and what even to use. So, what we again help business owners do behind the scenes is really just kind of shore up those things and really put some systems and processes in place to make really solid objective decisions about the business and where to go next. And really look at things and say, okay, definitively, I know this is working because of X, Y, or Z, or I know this is not working because of X, Y, or Z. And the clarity that comes with some of that stuff is honestly transformational, especially when we're starting to talk about bringing on, people like account managers and growing our businesses systematically. It's just going to give a lot of peace of mind. So we pulled together something called the Better Business Bundle. It's an amazing opportunity. I think you can kind of grab anything related to project templates, SOPs that you could use to run your team, any reports around financials and utilization and all the things that we've been talking about, like kind of grabbing all those numbers, along with some helpful trainings to show you like how to use the tools. I'm also a huge fan of integrations and making people's lives a lot easier with administrative kind of back and forth and admin input. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff in there, but really it's just a compilation of all the things that I've found make agencies run easier. And so you can kind of just swipe and deploy those into your business. I think when we start to talk about preparing account managers and preparing our businesses for account managers, it's super crucial that we start to look at the systems that are going to hold them up. But also too, on the flip side of things, really look at, making them, the people, right, ready and training them. And I know, Taylor, that you have a lot of resources there too. So tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So account management, like we've been talking about over these 3 sessions, is like a soft skills training plus systems and operations, like hard skills, I guess you call it. So for us, like finding a way that we could duplicate ourselves and train other account managers in a way that we want them to be working was really like an effort of taking our brains and putting it into a training program. And so things like how to think for yourself, soft skills of communication, grammar, strategic delivery for clients, like how to actually walk clients through reports in a really meaningful way. It's like really important skills that an account manager needs. So what we did was we put together a training program. It's 7 modules. Generally takes anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks for somebody to go through, but essentially all of our experience and training into one program. So it's called CAM School or Client Account Manager School. And it's basically everything that an account manager needs to know to be at that premium level that Allison and I have been training you guys on over these 3 sessions. So definitely head over to thecamschool.com. We'll link both of these things down below that you guys can definitely benefit from. Account management is a beast. It's a lot of training, systems, operations, tracking, soft skills, happiness, all these things into one. But I hope that after, these 3 sessions of training that you've learned, maybe when's the right time to bring somebody in? What are the things you need to think of? And then, of course, what type of person you need to hire and then how to manage them. So hopefully you guys got lots of benefit over these training sessions. We will both link everything below so that you can reach out to us, get all these trainings, and then kind of some additional resources that you guys can learn from.
Yeah, this is amazing. I had such a good time and I feel like we tackle a lot. I feel like a lot of value here. And I mean, geez, how amazing is it to be able to hit this nail on the head and have somebody injected into the business that can provide some of these results. So I'm excited for the folks who really like internalize this and like take action in their business and like commit to having somebody in the business that can actually make these sorts of differences for them because it's just going to be transformational.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We are more than happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely.